Hi everyone, Ande Lyons here. Now, I rarely do solo episodes, but since I just turned 69 in August, I thought it would be a whole lot of fun to step up to the mic for episode 69 of the Don't Be Caged by Your Age podcast and share something near and dear to my heart. Busting the myth that boomers are bad at tech. You see, this misperception has been chasing me for years. I was a global startup mentor for 8 years, from 2015 to 2023, and for 3 of those years I co-hosted a monthly pitch event for founders right here in Boston, and over again, I'd hear people say to startup founders, "Explain your business like you're talking to your grandma." By the way, it was never grandpa, always grandma. So first, I was offended by the gendered ageism, and then I was just plain offended, often jumping up and saying, "What the heck?" You see, I was always the oldest person in the room at these events, and no one knew my age. Most people assumed I was in my early 50s. Truth, I was already well into my 60s. Heck, I had shoes older than some of the folks pitching their startups. So in 2022, when I turned 66, I decided it was time to come out about my age. And honestly, I was scared. It had been drummed into all women my age to never share your age. I took a deep breath, snapped a photo with me holding the Route 66 sign, and posted it on LinkedIn with the headline, "Don't be caged by your age." Honestly, the look on my face in that photo clearly said, "Will you still love me now that you know I'm this friggin' old?" That was my indoctrinated ageist belief. In that post, I opened up about ageism in the tech industry and the startup ecosystem, and the post went viral on LinkedIn. The comments blew me away. So many folks shared their pain about feeling invisible and diminished as they got older, and just as many shared their extraordinary adventures and accomplishments after 65. I even had to check my own bias when a 91-year-old commented about their 5-year plan. I thought for a second, what the heck are you doing on LinkedIn? It was clear from all the comments. Ageism was a hot topic and people were ready to talk about it. And I learned that I wanted to help more folks over 65 to thrive and age out loud and proud. Go ahead, be the oldest person in the room and be proud of it. So in March of 2024, I launched this podcast to provide a space to highlight people shattering internalized ageist beliefs and proving that you can keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep thriving way past 65. Now you know why I'm so passionate about busting myths about boomers being bad at tech. Excuse me? Bad at tech? Where does that even come from? Folks, we're the generation that went from analog to digital in just a few decades. We had to adopt to more new technologies in our lifetime than any other generation in history. What is with this myth that we're bad at tech? Let's rewind the clock and take a little stroll down memory lane, shall we? To see just how much tech brilliance we boomers have navigated. And why we're not just tech survivors, we're tech legends. We began with manual typewriters. Clickety-clackety, pound those keys. Then came the electric typewriter. Ooh, fancy. Until suddenly, we were booting up PCs and learning DOS commands. Phones? We went from rotary dials that took forever to dial one number. And do you remember we hid in closets as teenagers to have conversations with a friend because it was the only phone in the home and we had to stretch those cords around corners and chairs and tables just to have some privacy on the phone? Next up, push-button phones, to answering machines, to flip phones, and now smartphones that practically do your taxes. Fellow boomers, come in a little closer, will ya? Can we all agree? Thank goodness we didn't have phones with cameras capturing what we were doing during the 70s and 80s. I mean, some things are better left untraceable. Am I right? Okay, and music. You're going to want to sit down for this list. Vinyl records. I remember buying my first 45 when I was 10 years old. I think it was Sonny and Cher. I Got You, Babe. Then came 8-tracks, cassettes, CDs, Walkmans, iPods, and now streaming. If you've never untangled a cassette tape with a pencil, frankly, I don't think you've ever lived. And let's not forget gaming. We were gaming on punch cards fed into mainframes. Yeah, that's how far back it goes. Then came Pong, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, and Tetris, all the classics that defined an era. We didn't grow up with controllers in our hands. We had to learn them as they came out, generation by generation. And fun fact, the very first video game, Pong, was created by Nolan Bushnell, who went on to found Atari and Chuck E. Cheese. He's in his early 80s now, still a legend, and still proving that gaming and tech innovation was fueled by our generation. Let's not forget The Office. Mimeograph machines, anyone? I can still remember the smell of handouts in high school. And then copiers arrived. We all had our favorite go-to person at the office, right? Who knew how to fix those suckers because they broke all the time. Fax machines, dot matrix printers with the track holes down the sides, then ink printers. And at first, changing those cartridges, what a mess when they first came out. And then scanners. I mean, we were troubleshooting paper jams before many of our colleagues were even born. I remember in the early 90s, my husband traveled overseas for weeks at a time, and it was way too expensive to make an international phone call, so we faxed each other. How sweet is that? I love that memory. Math and science. Who remembers slide rules? Raise your hand. And how practically overnight they became obsolete because handheld calculators became affordable. Then the HP 12 calculator. I had that in grad school earning my MBA. That was my personal fave. Scientific calculators, and now spreadsheets. We survived statistics class without Google. Imagine that. And communication, letters that took days to get to someone. This is why boomers are really good at picking up the phone and calling someone. And again, fax machines. And remember FedEx, because it absolutely positively had to get there overnight? Then email, PDFs, then texting, and now Zoom. And Gen Z gets cranky if a text takes 2 minutes to arrive. We waited weeks for a reply by mail. So when people say boomers don't get tech, I just laugh. Because the truth is, we've been getting tech for over 40 years. We didn't just adapt to new technologies, we invented them. Remember Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Tim Berners-Lee, who gave us the World Wide Web? All boomers. We're not tech-challenged, folks. We're tech legends. Keep getting that into your brain, okay? So next time, when someone rolls their eyes and assumes you can't figure out your smartphone, before you hit them upside the head with your smartphone, remind them you learned to transition from analog to digital, from punch cards to iPads, from dial-up to fiber optic. You're not behind, you're ahead. You've proven decade after decade you can learn, adapt, and thrive to new tech. And if that isn't wicked tech smart, I don't know what is. Did I forget anything? I'd love to hear from you. What tech did you navigate over the decades, and which tools or gadgets left the biggest impression on you? Thanks for hanging out with me on this little solo adventure for episode 69. I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest to help us all keep thriving after 65. Until then, stay Andelicious. Waving from Boston. Cheers. I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from this delicious conversation. Be sure to hop on over to Don't Be Caged by Your Age on LinkedIn or Instagram to share your thoughts about ageism and unretirement. Because in this space, your age doesn't define you, it refines you. If you are inspired by a story you hear, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. To receive an alert whenever a new show is posted, please join the Don't Be Caged by Your Age newsletter. Every month, you'll receive links to the podcast and helpful resources for creating possibilities for your unretirement days. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to hear how you found ways to thrive after 65. Waving from Boston, cheers.